Hello, everyone. Gosh, the attendance just jumped to 39 people as soon as I clicked over here. That's so exciting. So we are going to go ahead and get started. I am Lizzie Schaffer. I'm the GM of Blackbaud Social Good Startup Program, and it is my absolute pleasure today to welcome Josh Kligman, the CEO and co-founder of Storyraise, Blackbaud ISV partner, and current participant in the Social Good Startup Program. We've got a great session today on how to deepen donor engagement with AI-based tools. So before I hand it over to Josh, just a friendly reminder that at the end of this session and all of the sessions in BB Dev Days, I'm going to launch a quick survey. It should take you about 10 seconds, and they're very important for you to fill out because the top 3 highest rated sessions from all of BB Dev Days are going to get a golden ticket to BBCon in Seattle in September. So please do take that survey at the end for this and all other sessions so that Josh can know how much you love him and how much you want to see him on the big stage in Seattle. So with that, I'm going to hang out in the chat. If anybody has questions as Josh is going through his presentation, please feel free to put them there. I will queue them up and we will either get to them at the end, or I will make sure that Josh has any questions that we don't have time to get to and contact information to follow up. So with that, I'm going to hide out in the chat. You guys ping me if you need me. Josh Kligman, take it away.
Yeah, thanks, Lizzie. Thanks for having me. Welcome, everybody from all over the country. What did I see? Chicago, New York City, South Dakota. That's great. Today, we're going to talk about how to deepen donor engagement using AI and technology's role in continuing to show impact to donors. So I'm Josh Kligman. I'm a CEO and co-founder here at Storyraise. I'm based in Washington, D.C., and we are a solution for nonprofits to create digital reports. And before we dive in, I thought I'd share a little bit about myself and my background. I come from nonprofit work on the marketing side. I worked at a national nonprofit called 4-H for a little over a decade. I was there creating all types of reports for the development and advancement side and for the marketing side at a national, regional, and very local level. And at one point, I realized that I wanted to see if the reports that I was creating so manually were factoring into the return on the investment, meaning additional and incremental donor dollars or more volunteer time coming from all the stakeholders that we were sharing reports with, including partners too. And that also includes the board. So that led me down this path to create this platform for nonprofits to create digital reports and focus on nonprofit storytelling and making them really engaging. So we're going to dive into what we're going to cover today. And if you have questions as we go, feel free to ask them. We have Q&A time at the end, of course. I'm also a big fan of answering questions in real time. So if I see them on the chat, I'll answer them as I see them. If anybody wants to interrupt me, that's great too. But we're going to start with how to customize digital reports for donors and how you can use your existing Blackbaud data to do that. And we'll also go deep into what customization really looks like, why you should customize, and some pros and cons around that, and then how to actually do that. But when we talk about customization, we're talking about people's names. We're talking about their giving levels, and we're also talking about their interests. That could be interests in different types of programs that you have. And just to give you a little preview of what I'm going to show when I share my screen later, is that you can show you can use artificial intelligence and automation to show personalized reports to donors that are not giving unrestricted dollars, but interested in certain programs that you have, one version of a set of impact stories, while other people that have other interests, another version. And same goes for giving levels too. So we'll also talk today about how to use donor data to create those customized reports like donor reports and impact reports, and why it creates more engaging stories. That's really about the storytelling. And I'm sure this week in this great conference, you're learning a lot of deeply technical things. I want to back up for a second and talk about the stories that then inform the automation and the AI that's going into all the hard work that you're doing. We'll also talk during this session about how AI and technology are playing a role in using that existing donor data that can come right from your Blackbaud account today. And then within these automation workflows that you can create to personalize and customize reports for donors, sometimes you're just using that to say thank you, like an annual report or impact report. It's been a great year. But there's other times when those reports may be part of an ask for giving, like a capital campaign or Giving Tuesday or an end of year campaign. And that's when solicitation comes in. And you can actually use your existing Blackbaud donation forms, and through an integration with Storyraise, use them right within reports. So I want to talk about that concept, and the examples you'll see today will be with Storyraise. That's what I know best, but we'll talk about best practices along the way that you can really just keep in mind when you're setting your strategy. So with that, I'm gonna talk about here what type of reports you usually send out today. And what you see on the screen is the report builder, where we're going to talk about some of that automation that can come right from your Blackbaud account. And I'm going to play around with that in a second and give a little show and tell with some of those best practices. But the types of reports that you're most likely thinking about today are along the lines of annual reports, like I mentioned, and impact reports. I'm sure there's also a lot of donor reports, and they're being sent out because you want to really you really want to keep that engagement level up with those stakeholders, where you're sharing information about how you're creating an impact in their community. And a lot of those stories are on a deeply personal level. And I see that as a huge trend, where it's not just saying, hey, these are the great things that we've done because of you, but it's showing how you've changed, individuals' lives and community well-beings because of their dollars. And to really drive that engagement home and to really increase the awareness that your nonprofit exists, which is all about that brand awareness. That's why these reports exist. And I think it's a good idea just to kind of sit around and think about that. So when you're thinking about AI and moving faster and all this really useful technology, we could think about how that would inform the reports in terms of what it looks like and the messages that we want to give, to make sure we're still giving those same great messages to donors. We're just doing it in a way that's in the background faster for us. We also send out reports because we want to drive some sort of call to action or a thank you. I mentioned the thank you before. I mentioned the call to action, and that could be donations, but there's other things that we want our stakeholders to do too, like volunteer, for example. So automation and AI comes really useful with deepening donor engagement when it comes to personalization. And that's a lot of what we're going to focus on for the rest of this session going forward, which is that personalization is really driving the presentation, and the presentation is everything. There is a lot of attention grabbing that we have to do throughout the day. I mean, while we're having this session, your phone's going to beep, your doorbell might ring, and there's distractions that we all have. There's distractions that your donors have, and you're just competing for their time. They could be looking over one of the great marketing or fundraising assets that you send them and get distracted. And you want to make sure that they come back to it. You want to make sure that they're engaged enough that they're going to read through the whole document that you're sending them, whatever it is. And to do that, we just want to go a little deeper with the engagement. And there's a lot of nonprofits that I work with where I see that engagement being deepened through things like video or social media posts, I think, to complement the storytelling that's going on, especially when it comes to impact reports and annual reports and donor reports too. But personalization, I think, is that other level where donors can really feel like that you care, and it shows them that you're really paying attention to detail as well. So how do we customize? There's a couple ways that we actually can customize. And one of those ways is just customizing, one by one manually. When it comes to reports, there's mapping of cells that can happen that can go from a spreadsheet to a Word doc, and then that's converted into a PDF. And we have to do that times 20, 50, 100, or thousands. Obviously, that's a lot of work, but people do that. And I think that when we have documents that are in that form, we have to think about engaging our audiences on mobile devices too, and what does that look like for them? I think with a PDF or documents like a flip book, sometimes it's hard when you have to kind of pinch and zoom in and look around on your phone to try to see the information correctly. And when it comes to personalization and using automation to do that, we would want to think about that as well. So
Josh, I'm so sorry to have to interrupt you. We are getting some messages that your screen sharing is wrong. We are seeing like an inception view of the Goldcast screen, not your.
Oh, thank you for that.
Thank you to the people that flagged it. I had looked away for a second. Okay.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you. And you know what? I wasn't actually sharing anything on this screen anyway. We're going to get there. It's set up for 1 minute from now, but thank you, because when I start scrolling on this, I want to have the right screen being shared.
Okay.
So
going back away now.
No, appreciate that. So, with this idea of using automation as a tool to be able to do things like personalized reports, not only personalizing reports is not only a trend that's going on, but I think that the automation is something that allows us to do it faster versus the manual ways that were done in the past, or in some cases now. So I want to think about the Blackbaud data that's currently sitting in your donor management platforms right now, and how that could be automated. So I mentioned names and giving levels. That could be used to inform the report, and data can actually be pulled right from Blackbaud and then placed right into an actual report. So it's part AI, it's part process flows using automation, and of course, all to save us, a lot of time and effort. So I'm going to dive in and show you 3 things. The first thing I'm going to show you is how you can take your existing Blackbaud data by using what I know best, which is here on the screen, the Storyraise solution. Then I'm going to show you how you can use your Blackbaud donation forms to incorporate right within a report if you were making an ask for giving and doing solicitation using an integration with Blackbaud. And then finally, I'm going to show you some AI that exists for digital reports where you can make it fast and easy to create images for you that's based on your text, create designs for you within a report and layouts, using AI to create templates for digital annual impact and donor reports that represent your brand. So that's kind of a new concept of one-of-a-kind templates, where no two are the same. And then also using AI to edit text, and also using AI to create charts. And I'll show you how that all comes together. There's lots of tools out there where you can do some of this stuff in bits and pieces. I'm going to show you all in one place how it can be done. So I'm going to start with this example of personalizing reports. And what you see on the screen here is an example of a digital report. And I'm in the builder right now, because this is where I want to show you where personalization comes in using your Blackbaud account. So when personalizing reports, what organizations are doing is they're using data tags that are the same tags that live within Blackbaud. And in this case, I had uploaded a number of different mock constituents and put them into my Storyraise account. So I have all these different tags here, and tags you probably have already set yourself. So in terms of a first name, this is an example of how you can use automation to personalize an opening letter from an executive director. And these data tags are sitting in the background being pulled from Blackbaud. And anytime someone sees a first name here, it would plug in just their first name. And the same concept applies for the other types of personalization that we mentioned, like showing them a story based on their giving level, which I'll show you in a second, or a story based on their interest level. The whole idea in terms of saving time using automation is to eliminate the idea of repeatable work where you have to duplicate and do things over and over. So in this case that you see on the screen, this is all living at one report, which lives on one URL. And when I talk about digital reports, I'm talking about web-based reports and showing impact that lives on a website. So this is the idea of sending out one website to hundreds, thousands, or tens of thousands of people. And as each stakeholder or donor sees it, they're seeing a personalized version that's just for them. So that allows you to eliminate the work of having to create multiple versions, but everybody sees it on their own. So I will show you an example here of a best practice that we're seeing from our Storyraise customers on how to share different impact stories to different donors. And this is done with tags that are based on the size of the donor. So this could also be done on a like a basis of gold donor versus silver donor. In this example, I'm just saying small donor versus large donor to be able to show you how this works. So on the right side, you can see I have variable tags set that are being pulled from my constituents. And when this is identified as a donor that's small, it will show this story. I went ahead and created another story underneath that has a different audience, which is a donor size that is large, if you look on the bottom right here. And I'll show you how this data is being pulled from Blackbaud after I show you this actual example and what it looks like when it goes out on the donor side. So I'm sharing another tab here, and this is actually just a preview mode of the same report in its live version. And I'm showing I'm previewing this mock constituent, James Wilson, as you can see here on the top right, and the name gets filled in. And when I go to this third section in the table of contents, we can see how the automation that's pulling the data is making it so that when this constituent sees this report, they're going to see this story with this boy jumping in the road. I don't know where the kid's parents are, why he's jumping on the road, or why I even chose that stock photography as a parent, but there it is for James Wilson. So let's look at what another constituent would see using the same report. And this is where the speed comes in. And it's going to refresh the page, and we're going to see what another constituent named Linda would see if she were to open the same URL and view this report. So Linda's name is there, but Linda's a different size donor. So I want to show Linda something else. So, I mean, a good personalization best practice at its core is just this idea of just Linda's name there, speaking to her, showing that, you're thinking about her from, your fundraising or marketing team, taking it a step further and segmenting out your audience like this is almost like a next and second level of personalization where they can see different, different stories. And you can get really creative with this concept as well as you think about, endowment reports, scholarship reports, whatever it may be. So I want to go back to something I said about showing how data like this gets pulled, just so you can see at a high level what data looks like when it comes over from Blackbaud, and that's in this constituent area here. Now I chose ahead of time what this data would look like, and then remember this is all mock data, but I'm pulling in just certain variables that I want to work with, and they're all stored here. What's even more interesting to me is that you could think about, and this isn't a Storyraise thing, and I hope you understand that these practices can be put into play, with any solution that you use. But you can also think about sending certain videos to certain audiences also. It doesn't mean the video needs to be personalized, but thinking about donors that are your top tier donors and different stories that you could tell them, you could use multimedia like video, just an example, to share something with them, and even use automation to share video with one audience and a different video or no video with another audience. I'm going to transition here into the second thing that I said I'll show you, which was the idea of how to use your Blackbaud donation form to collect donations right within a report using a simple integration. And this part is not AI, but it is all about integrations and automations, and I think very relevant to what we talked about in terms of using the automation to personalize a report. And then you're leading up to this ask sometimes, and when appropriate, right? And meaning when you don't have to say thank you, but you're making a case for giving and then collecting donations. So I have this example here of a story that's being told, and we're telling our audience we couldn't have done this without you, and we're telling our audience that it's because of you that we did a great job, and we're leading up to this ask that says thank you. And then it's time to ask for a gift. And this is pulling right here from a Blackbaud account through an integration with Storyraise. So there's a few benefits to doing this. One is that you can obviously collect the funds right here, but there's no extra clicks for the donor. I think prior to us launching this, I saw a lot of nonprofits do the right thing, which is to create a button that says click here, and it opens a new tab, and that's where donors come in and can give. But we're saving a step in the process. And if you think about forms that you fill out online, and if you get to a website and the form's really long, or it takes you extra time, or there's extra clicks, think about what your threshold is for time and energy. I mean, they're more likely to lose you. So the less clicks, the better. The less information, the better. This is a 0-click situation. So, someone wants to donate, they want to donate $100. This is all, through the integration. So it's working in real time. And then they're staying within your brand. They're staying on your report. And it's simpler for you. I think tracking something like this is great because you can even create a separate, Blackbaud donation form campaign. So, the money's coming right from the efforts within the report, and track your, return on the time that you spend and the entire investment right to that specific campaign. On the back end, it's kind of interesting how this is done. I'm going to share this here with the Blackbaud integration, and I'm going to go to the last section in this report that I built, which is generally where this kind of information lives. And we have this great integration here shown where you just drop in that donation form URL, and then it looks like this at the end of the day. So I'd love to hear comments and questions on this since I'm sharing my screen. Can't see them right now if there are any, but we're going to make sure to come back in a few minutes here and answer all those. I want to show you a few pieces of AI that are out there right now, as I mentioned, to create images for you, designs and layouts and templates, and AI to edit text, and also to create charts. So, I think that ChatGPT is a great solution, and there's other solutions that can do a lot of these parts and pieces. I'm trying to think of how we can even further save time. And when we're thinking about something like deepening your engagement with donors through digital reports, doing that all in the same place, and making it even simpler. So I'm going to show this example here when I'm building a report of what it looks like to create images, and I'm going to kind of do this in a live environment here because I don't know what kind of AI image I'm going to get. So I'm going to delete this text, and we'll see what happens. And I'll put in text that says, we are here to make our community a better place, and we couldn't do it without your help. Thank you for supporting our food pantry, right? And I'm gonna, on the right-hand side, I'm gonna use AI to create media suggestions from the content that's here. So I'll click that, and it's gonna create that it's going to create that for me in the background here, and then we'll just come back to that in a second, and then we'll see what that looks like. So, oh, it's popping up right here. So it's generating the media down here. It'll generate some images, and we can pop that in. So, I think that stock photography and AI photography is interesting because it's a nice way to complement a photo library that you may or may not have, because we all don't have a photo for everything. Finding the right photos, really hard. So I think that's where sometimes royalty-free stock photography comes into play. But if we can generate media using AI, it's a step further. And it does take a little time. So that's why I said we'll come back to it. There's also technology that can design layouts. So when it comes to reports, and we call that here, like on the bottom of the screen, we call that a block builder, where you can use AI to build pieces of a report. So if after an introductory letter, I wanted to do something like a mission statement, I could type in anything I want here. But to show you this example, I'll create a mission statement block, and it's going to put it right after this. And, it's really about speed. So when you're talking to your constituents and you need to get out reports quickly, this is a good starting point. So I don't believe that any of the AI that's going to be shown here for us is the finish point. I look at it as like a really fast head start when it comes to using AI to engage donors through reports. So it can get you there faster. I think there then is always tweaking that you want to do, because you want it to look and feel like, your own brand. There's also a way to use AI here to edit text, and we call that an AI writing whiz. So I think this is really similar to ChatGPT, but as you write, you can use the writing whiz and this AI to edit or to write for you, and just in efforts to moving faster. And I think when I share my screen, it probably takes even longer, so I won't show you those. I'll show you examples, as they kind of pop up here, but I won't click on everything. In thinking further, a few weeks down the road here, we're working on more AI that will be able to create fully baked templates that use brand colors and fonts and photos for each individual nonprofit, so that you can have more fully baked reports that are created, and then it comes down to kind of just filling in the blanks to move even faster. The last thing I'll show you here, which will pop up on the screen much faster, is, and here's the mission statement block. So I could put color around here, add photos, and sort of reorganize from there. The last thing I'll show you here is AI to build charts. I think there's a lot of solutions online where you could build charts and graphs and maybe even infographics. So just the concept of creating a chart using AI is replacing the uploading of CSV files and spreadsheets. So that's something that, I think gives at least here at Storyraise, gives the same output, and you still have your chart. But if it's a simple chart and you were creating an annual report, for example, and you wanted to show revenue versus expenses, I think that's where you can move faster using AI. So for instance, here, if I was to create a chart and put in instructions, I'd say create a pie chart that shows let's see, pencils, and we want that to be the color blue, and we earned $100 from that, and erasers, and we want that to be the color green, and we earned $50 on that. And we'll say build chart, and let's say this is 2024 revenue to show where the money comes from. Maybe I wouldn't want it this big, but then we can all see it. So we have pencils and erasers, and we built a chart real fast. I think that's where the speed comes in. And again, thinking about the donor engagement, in a small way, it's kind of fun, because even on a phone, you can click and tap on the different pieces, and it'll show you the key and just allow you to move faster. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and come back here and just see if we have any questions with our remaining time here, or comments. I'd love to hear from you as well as to, how or if you're using this now and what your thoughts are. So I'll take a look at the chat here for a second. I see a couple questions here at the end, Lizzie, about the example I gave with personalizing reports, pulling in the data of James being a small donor and Linda large. That was just text that I chose to put on there just to show that James is, James is a small donor, Linda's a large. But in reality, I think what you'd have is, welcome James, or welcome Linda, or because of you, James, thank you for your impact, James, etc.
There are a couple of questions in the Q&A from Arlette. It looks like a question and a follow-up, actually. It says, how does this handle situations where the tag is blank? Is it possible to do conditional logic? And the follow-up question is also, what if the tag is really a table of values that might vary in length, i.e. a list of student scholarship recipients or a list of past donations?
Yeah, I get those two questions a lot, especially the latter. So I'll just work backwards here. So you can have lots of different spreadsheets that you save into the Storyraise platform that will allow you to pull from that. So let's say it was a scholarship program. You could set things up so that there's workflows and data that's mapping to different people that were recipients, and then different people that are the donors, even if there's more than one donor, or one donor is giving to more than one, recipient. So that's something that we help with in a hands-on way. And then to the first question about the logic. Yeah. I mean, if you can have a more general place where if there isn't a specific piece of data to fill in, there's general language that's there. I see another question here. What if the data tag is really a table of value? Yeah, so I think I answered that, where you can save a spreadsheet. It's really a CSV file, and you have that table of values there, and then you're pulling from the specifics of it. Any other questions here that I may have missed on the Q&A?
Yeah, we welcome your questions. And if you don't have any now, but maybe you're like me and you wake up at 3 a.m. with the light bulb, you can use that people tab here at the top to reach out to Josh directly. Or of course you can reach out via email to me or Josh. I would be happy to put you in touch for more information. Oh, yeah, thank you, Catherine. How are the stories connected to your database?
Stories like videos could be connected to the database because you can assign variable data tags to them. You can assign variable data tags to different stories. But generally speaking, you're putting the stories into each individual report, and then you're assigning those stories to different audiences. So kind of like I had shared previously, let's say you have 3 different audiences. You may have 3 stories on the screen, and you'll say story number 1 goes to this audience, story number 2 goes to this audience, or story number 3 goes to this audience. Alternatively, you could have one blank space, and in the background there could be 3 different stories or videos that you could say, all right, to each audience, they'll see a different version of it. They're both extremely similar, and we walk everyone through exactly how to do that in the setup. Yeah, I think the automation of it's really interesting because what's happening really in the background from like a technology standpoint is that you're mapping the person's email address to the report, because you're pulling their email address from your Blackbaud account and telling Storyraise that you want to reach out to that person. Then when they open the report, even though you're sending everybody the URL, there's a little tag at the end of the URL that has their email address on it when they open it. And because they're pinging our website and we're the host, we know that it's Linda versus James, right? So we know exactly who it is, and we're able to surface them the report that's just for them. I see another question here. Is it connected to Razor's Edge, or would you be importing the audiences yourself? So the easiest thing is to connect it to Razor's Edge and then pull the data out. You also have the option to take CSV files from Razor's Edge and then upload them into Storyraise, whatever's easier. So it's really up to you. And I see another question here. So it starts with a spreadsheet that is connected to the Stories tool, or is the information about the donor being fetched directly from the database? So you're developing your own stories and creating your own kind of presentation of those moments of impact, and then you're assigning which donor should see it. And you could, personalization is an option. You could send your whole audience from your Blackbaud, a Razor's Edge, platform, all the same story, right? Segmenting out the audiences is just a way, I think, to use automation and take it a little bit further. Great questions. Any other ones here? I think those are all that came in. We have another one here asking if this system is dynamic, like if something changes on the donor's record, will the story update as well? Yes, if you're connected to Razor's Edge, like someone asked earlier, yes, it's dynamic. Thank you, Christine and Catherine.
Okay, this was an amazing session. Thank you so much, Josh. And in my experience in the last couple of days, we had almost 150 people at one point, which is a lot more than I had seen. So like amazing. Thank you to everybody that came. I did just launch this session survey. So if you could please just take that 10 seconds to tell Josh how awesome this was and put him at the top of the golden ticket list of contenders, that would be great. If any questions come up later, please feel free to reach out to Josh or myself directly. Thank you again, everyone, for coming. We hope you're enjoying BB Dev Days, and we'll see you in the next session.
Thank you.
Thanks, y'all.